This is the second Devo in the devotional series called Words, and this is action words. In Deuteronomy 11, there's a phrase, a summary of words that we often use to simplify our relationship with God. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul. That's the first part of the command that we love so much, and it's stated here in Deuteronomy. And it comes with a promise of rain in its season, grass in the fields, and plenty of food to satisfy. But there are some other words that God has to say, and that's to be careful because we will be tempted to turn away and worship other gods and even serve them. So we have this word of promise that if we obey, we're satisfied, and if we turn away, then the ground will not produce and we'll lose our good land. So let's look at these words of life or death. God says to do something with his words in verse 18. He uses these action words or these verbs. Fix these words of mine in your hearts, tie them as symbols on your hands, and bind them on your foreheads. Teach them to your children, talk about them at home, and write them on your houses and gates. So 6 little verbs: fix, tie, bind, teach, talk, and write, in response to God's big promises. So let's look at the first 3. Think about a road trip with lots of luggage and a gear for a camping experience, and all of it tied on the top of your car and fixed so that it won't blow away on the journey. You've seen people do this. You need bungee straps, containers that fasten securely, and all of your things you want to arrive safely, and you want them to be completely secure against wind, rain, and uneven pavement. We go to great lengths to ensure that we arrive with what we packed at the beginning. It's no different than with God's Word. If we start well on our journey with him and end our lives and forget and lose what we strapped on at the start, we will arrive at a campsite without what we need to build a fire, clothe ourselves, or sustain our bodies. Fix, tie, and bind. And the next 3 words tell us what will happen if we haven't done that. And if we don't fix, tie, and bind them, we must teach, talk, and write. This doesn't mean to sign up to teach a class, but these directives involve speaking up with our words, using our tongues, living by example, speaking the word, writing it down in cards, emails, or on our walls or in journals. The word must be in action in our home and lives. Going down the road, that dad that securely fastens all the important items to the car would do well to instruct his kids as he's packing, the whys and ways of strapping the gear on. Little eyes might observe that mom use straps that have hooks, or little ears might hear that dad instructed on waterproofing items and protecting them against wind. And little hands might want to copy and do what dad did on their trips when they get older. But if dad never teaches, mom never talks, or anyone never writes down things for the kids, how will they know? The end of this section in the chapter offers assurance that if people fix, tie, bind, then teach, talk, and write, they will drive out nations, even nations that are larger and stronger than they are. And every place where they set their foot will be theirs, and no one will be able to stand against them. So what will we do with God's words and commands? We all know from reading and observing about God's people from the get-go that we're prone to wander and forget where our blessings come from. We grow impatient as we wait for further blessings, and then we fail to speak the truth, and we allow our own ways and craftiness to emerge, and that's a big danger. Fix, tie, and bind. Think of those straps, those ropes that ensure a good hold in the wind and rain. Teach, talk, and write. Don't just hold that information close, but make sure those around you observe it, hear it, and have instructions to carry with them so they will arrive safely with their gear intact. When gear is insecure, it falls and there's great loss, but it also slams on the cars behind and causes wrecks and all sorts of mishaps. It's the same with the word. If it's not securely fastened and visible and secure, it can become tainted and watered down with our own ideas and less secure thoughts, and damage not only those around us, but ourselves. It's a good picture, one of preparing to camp and loading up your car, so don't forget it. Make sure you're well stocked with items that fix, tie, and bind, and invite others to observe, learn, and obey, and then ask everyone to come along for the ride to conquer the world with these 6 little verbs.